presentations. We are very, very excited to listen to today's deliberations by these young dynamic experts in the field. And it is such an interesting coincidence for older generations like us to be welcoming these young entrepreneurs who will be the future, who are the future, and who will take us in a myriad new directions. So just a little bit of patience. And once our panelists join in, we can begin in another 2-3 minutes.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Piyush.
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine. This is Dr. Maumita Sengupta. I will be introducing you to the audience very soon,
Okay.
as soon as I get the green signal from Proma.
Okay. Okay. So this is a panel discussion, is it?
Right. So we have another speaker with us already, and we are just confirming the third expert who will be joining. Okay. So the moment that happens, we can begin. Proma, just give me the signal.
Yeah, ma'am, I think we can start.
Okay. Okay. So welcome to a new day of the gaming convention being organized by the Techno India University Institutions Innovation Council. Yesterday we had a wonderful discussion on how gaming is not just about entertainment, but it is about providing passion for providing support, providing a viable means of expressing their creativity for a lot of Indians, for a lot of people all across the world, a lot of experts all across the world. And today we are going to talk about how that can transform itself into very, very viable, interesting professions. How the gaming sector can be a big, big job creator. The young entrepreneurs who are here are the new job givers to another set of young entrepreneurs. And what an interesting conglomeration that is. So without further ado, I will introduce the first speaker, first panelist on our list, Mr. Vaibhav Chavan. He's the founder and CEO Underdogs Gaming Pvt Ltd. He's a public speaker and a YouTuber par excellence. He's efficient in building game development teams and setting up a strong R&D and feedback process to ensure a smooth flow in implementation of various projects. He's efficient in agile Scrum methodology to manage projects and in preparing detailed guidelines for art style and features. He channels creative ideas to align them with KPI expectations. He's on top of current trends and constantly analyzing various business models in the industry to plan the best possible strategy for the organization. He can work creatively and effectively to bring the vision to life in software, including feature definition and specification, thematic exploration, social and viral loops, etc. He's a good understanding of the financial and managerial aspects of production, and he is a leader for creative sessions for project kickoffs. He plans post-release plans for gaming and marketing plans and soft launches and user acquisition to test the game KPIs. A very, very warm welcome to you, Mr. Vaibhav Chavan. I also introduce the second panelist at this stage. Mr. Piyush Kumar is the founder and CEO of the company Router. Router is the biggest Indian game streaming platform. It partners companies like Paytm, Samsung, and many others to provide gaming engagement for Indians. Ruta is the only Indian company ever to be selected for prestigious IAD Sports Accelerator programs run by the Adidas family in Berlin. IAD Fund is also a key investor in the company, aside from other funds like Paytm, Antil Ventures, Founder Bank Capital, Venture Catalysts, and famous personalities like actor Boman Irani, Suresh Babu, etc. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Piyush Kumar. We will soon be joined by Mr. Oritra Mukherjee, who we have already heard yesterday, and what a absolutely dynamic young man with so much of clarity and so much of vision. So we are also hoping that he is able to join today. But I think our panelists can begin. And the theme today essentially is about the gaming world as a livelihood, as a profession. So your thoughts, I think Vaibhav can begin, and we can then move on to Piyush. The floor is yours.
Sure, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that long introduction. I'll just start with a quick background as to what industry, the gaming industry is right now. Really started back in 1999 when few big companies that we hear in today's world, companies like India Games, Dhruva, and Nazara started. Right, they started with making games on Symbian phones, on Java phones, the phones which had keypads, right, and it was like a very a game which was like few KBs itself. The industry grew from that point. People started forming their own companies. 2004, I think 2003, 2004 was a time when people started making games on different platforms in India, at least. Flash came in, and web games on Adobe Flash were very popular at that time. So 2000 till 2010, 11, it all was about making Flash games on web portals, because at that time even the Symbian phones were dying. Introduction to the smartphones happened in 2010-11, and that's where people started making mobile games, the popular smartphone mobile games. Introduction to games like multiplayer and social games like PUBG introduced a lot more streamers in India, which is where 2015-2016 was all about. Growing the gaming community as well, because game development community was growing since 1999, but gaming community was like hardly 1 or 2% of Indian audience were playing games. Like, because today, if we speak about the real gaming audience of India, everybody would say that it's the people in the metropolitan cities who own high-end PCs and consoles, but that's not the fact. The real gaming audience of India are the people from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities who own the lower end devices in India. And that is where people in India, the gaming community, the game development community is majorly focused on making mobile games, because that's where the real audience is. So 2016 was an introduction to a new world of gaming community, wherein people started playing games, a lot more games, because of the streamers. And they also started, nobody in India thought that we would sit and watch people playing games, right? That is where streaming started in 2015-16. People started, there were a lot of streamers came in. PUBG was very popular, and that's where along with the game development community, the gaming community also grew. So at this point, I think both the sectors are growing hand in hand, and I think in the coming years, along with the mobile games, we'll also see some PC and console games coming out of India, because that's where the whole world is moving to. So that's in a nutshell, that's the whole journey of the gaming industry in India. When we started Underdogs, that was back in 2011, there were hardly 20-30 gaming companies in India. There were a few big ones, but smaller companies were very few. And today, we can very proudly say that there are over 500 gaming companies in India, and people are really taking gaming as a career option now, because that was not the case 5 years back. So yeah.
And as was spoken yesterday, somewhere along the line, this strange isolation that came because of the pandemic was a big boost to gaming creation as well as the gaming community, because that was one way to safely connect with other people as well as to express the creativity. So I think, yes, indeed, that was yeah, an opportunity in adversity. Piyush, your thoughts, please.
I think Vaibhav summed up the entire gaming industry and the growth over the last couple of decades very, very well. He's clearly seeing it much more closely and has played a very important role in, the development, at least over the last 10 years, right? From where I I mean, I spent a lot of time in my in the corporate career. I worked with companies like Swatch Group, Dish TV, and I turned an entrepreneur back in 2016. And one of the opportunities that I saw in the entire space was how technology can connect people. We had seen how social media, multiple other platforms across the world have created communities. They've brought people with similar interests together. Similarly, for us, initially we were doing something around sports, but it was in 2019 that we observed how a certain category in gaming was growing very, very fast. I mean, besides the fact that India is extremely lucky and privileged to have companies like Nazara, which pretty much build the entire gaming industry, and many, many other, and then of course Gamation, which brought one of our favorite games, Ludo, onto our mobile, right? And we all got hooked onto it. It has got more than 500 million downloads. So I think India has done very well over the last almost a decade in terms of casual games and the mid-core games, which have been created in India and have been adopted very well. But the entire nuance of gaming industry or the fabric of gaming industry has changed over the last 2-3 years, as Weber rightly pointed out. That this category of first-person shooter games, which started with PUBG, now has Free Fire, Call of Duty, multiple other games which are coming on mobile, and then there are games like Valorant on PC, etc., has really created a much bigger and a much more intensive part of the overall industry, which wasn't there 3-4 years back. What also it does is that it has helped the industry evolved into a different space, because 2-3 things that happens with, say, a category like first person shooter games that helps. One, people spend more time playing these games. These are not casual games that people are playing for 2, 3, 4, 10 minutes. They play it for much longer period of time. That therefore helps people develop skills and they get more immersed, and there's a much bigger community that gets built. Number two, it also leads to a bigger revenue that is built around the gaming industry. I mean, typically casual games weren't able to monetize the gaming industry to a large extent, and for a long time, people had a question mark on the fact that whether India can monetize gaming. But it is doing very, very well for all these games. And third, and the most important bit, is that these games actually lead to creation of what we call derivative industries. So the esports industry and the game streaming industry are the two industries which are now getting built around these games. And that is where the gaming is going to grow very, very fast. And at Router, we are extremely privileged to have entered the market at a pretty good time. We actually pivoted from a sports content platform to a gaming content or game streaming platform around March, April last year. Pandemic was a trigger. I won't say that whatever growth that is happening is purely out of pandemic. What pandemic has really done is it's built people a certain habit to spend more time on gaming, and they realize that it's quite a lot of fun. But we are right in the middle of building the game streaming community in India. We believe that besides the top 70-100 streamers who have built their career on YouTube, the entire industry needs to build the next 100,000 going up to 1 million game streamers, right? And we're playing our own role in trying to make that particular community so as to make game streaming as a proper career. And also at the same time, we're doing multiple esports tournaments. If you look at esports environment right now, it's surprising to see so many big and so many different number of companies which have come up to do esports tournament, and esports as a career is now building up pretty well. So I just want to end by saying that India was never a better place to play a very important role in mobile gaming industry. And the fact that mobile gaming is very big in India, which means that India will eventually play a very important role in the evolution of gaming from here. We weren't that big when console and PC were there, but from here, because every second Indian or every Indian has a mobile phone in hand now, will literally shape the way this will grow from here. So yeah, happy to discuss it further, and would love to get everybody's point of view. But I think yeah, it's a and firstly, and I forgot to mention it. Thanks so much for inviting me to be a part of the discussion. I've been hearing about a lot of insights that have come through even yesterday, and I'm happy to contribute my own bit with whatever learnings I've got over the last 18 months.
Thank you so much, Piyush. And indeed, you are right about the monetizability factor. Suddenly people are realizing, the games also have these premium versions, which are paid versions, even for free games. And people are realizing that instead of going to a movie theater and watching a film, I would rather pay some money, that same amount of money, and have an immersive experience, get involved, become an actor. So that feeling of proactivity, that feeling of being a decision maker, being a strategist, is something that is attracting a lot of people, and because of which the monetizability of these games also goes up. So I think it would be very nice if both of you could discuss a little about various types of careers in esports and various types of careers in the gaming industry. A little bit about how these young people who are students, they can have an aim that this is what I want to become. So that kind of thing, if some kind of descriptions could be provided.
Sure, Vaibhav, you want to go first?
Yeah. Just to add to your point, which you mentioned earlier, Maumita, the monetization, right? A lot of Indian developers also, and the overall audience in India thinks that India has a lot of audience, but they cannot monetize it right really well. But we were at the conference last year, the IGDC conference last year, last year, and people from PUBG, right? These people opened up about the numbers that they got in India. So they announced that PUBG from India alone, on iOS alone, made $100 million only in India, which is a which is a proof that India is also you can monetize Indian audience. The content needs to be placed really well. There is a given proof now with the games like PUBG or Call of Duty or Valorant, for that matter. Like people are playing those games and even spending a lot of money in these games. So that's one thing that I just wanted to touch base on. Talking about the career options, right? Since I'm doing this YouTube thing, right? The idea to get on YouTube was to just put out some information out there, because while we were trying to get into the industry back in 2007, right, 6-7, it was all pure hard work. It was a time where there was no information. We just had to knock the doors of these bigger companies, get in anyhow, and then start learning stuff in the company. Right? People didn't know that gaming is a career option. You can become a game designer, you can become a game programmer, you can become a game tester, right? There was not much of information out there on internet, and that was the idea. When I started YouTube, it was all about putting that information out there to the people. Since I started YouTube, I get a lot of queries on the same topic of how to get into the industry, and people are really confused about various terms. So I just brief people about this, right? So if you want to get into gaming industry, and I'm just talking about the game development industry, not the gaming, not the people who play or the streamers or the esports players. I think Piyush is the right guy to talk about those things. But in terms of game development, firstly you need to understand that there are broadly 4 categories in game development, right? You just can't say that I want to become a game developer and I'll become a game developer. Also, there is no college in India. There is no college in India wherein you complete your 10th or 12th, right? And you enter this college and you become a game developer by the end of the 3 years or 4 years. There's no college in India, right? They'll give you some aspects of what is game design, what is game programming, what is game testing, but there is no system like this which exists in India. So firstly, what you need to understand is what is your skill, right? Out of these 4 domains: game design, game art, game programming, and game testing. Game design and game art, this is one of the biggest myth and misconception that people have, that game design is about Photoshop, Maya, Max, is about creating assets, which is not. Game design is equivalent to a writer's job in a movie. A writer writes a story in a movie, right? It's what a game designer does in a gaming industry. Game designer is the one who is responsible to write the game, and this happens on paper itself. This can happen on paper, or a simple Microsoft document, or an Excel sheet to calculate the the arithmetic behind the progression of the game, right? So it's all about designing, it's all about visualizing, it's not about creating, right? Creating assets and all is a part of a game artist. That's the second category. So a game designer writes a game on paper, a complete game, even before it started it gets into the development. He writes the game. Then the second stage is game art, wherein the game artist reads out the documents which game designer has written and then uses it to create art. So you see the 3D models or the 2D artwork, right, in Photoshop or Maya, that is created by a game artist. The third is a game programmer who takes these assets and then codes it, using various programming languages. And the fourth one is a game tester. Now, first you need to decide what is it that you would be good at, or you have skills to, pursue a career, something which you can do for next 15-20 years, right? After that, every domain, right, game art, game design, game programming, or game testing, has a different path to become that particular expert. So if you want to become a game programmer, either get a graduation degree wherein you have a background of some programming aspect. Along with that, self-learn a lot of Unity and C#, these game engine tools wherein you can code games. If you want to become a game artist, do a BFA, fine art background graduation, learn classic animation, then start learning these tools. Photoshop, 3D Max, Maya, all these tools are free, right? You can just pick up and practice and create a portfolio. Similarly, there's a path for game design. So first you need to understand what you want to become. You just can't say I want to become a game developer and I become a game developer and I don't know what to do, and I will just find some college, some gaming institute which is just a fancy institute, and there is no curriculum attached to what you want to become. People sometimes what happens is people want to become a game designer, but there are institutes in India who has a title, like the courses have title like game design, and they teach all these softwares like Photoshop in that, which is of no use for a game designer, right? So firstly, you need to understand these 4 aspects and then only take your next step.
These are valuable insights, really. I mean, it's fascinating. Piyush, please.
No, I think just to add to what Vaibhav said, I just want to make a point on game development bit, that that's where a huge opportunity lies in India at this stage. Unfortunately, we are not seeing a lot of companies get into game development and particularly make games which can compete with the international games which are doing so well in India, right? So if anybody here can come up with certain games and certain gaming ideas which can be supported to say or take on somebody like I mean, PUBG is a once in a lifetime game, but all I'm trying to say is that if somebody can use Indian values, use Indian stories, and convert that into a game which can really stand out, then this is a great opportunity, because this is a time when adoption will happen quite a fast. Also, just to add to what Vaibhav said, game development is not something that can happen over a month or a quarter. It takes a lot of time. It's so you need to be very patient, have a lot of patience once you're building a career over here, and that's something which, as I said, is a great opportunity. From where I see things, I think there are two careers which are coming up quite greatly in terms of gaming. One is the entire esports industry. Multiple individuals are now taking esports as a career. They're playing games, or they're playing esports just the way everybody plays sports, right? They are basically picking up a game. They're becoming much better at it over a period of time, developing skills, adding a lot of tech around them to play that better. Then eventually they become a part of us. So then they work like an amateur. They compete in few tournaments, figure out if they are good enough to compete at a highest level. Eventually there is an option to join a team. Just like you join a sports team, you get to participate in multiple tournaments. And then you never know. I mean, very soon you'll be representing our country in Asian Games and maybe Olympics. I mean, esports is a medal sport in Asian Games in 2022, right? And India has a fairly good chance. So esports as a career is now coming up pretty seriously. We see a lot of parents who are pushing and supporting their kids to take gaming seriously. Unfortunately, in India, we don't have gaming schools. But in countries like Korea and many other countries, there are actually gaming schools where you go and literally learn how to play a game, right? You have a certain regime in terms of your fitness, in terms of how you can improve your skill, etc., and then you compete at the highest level. So from where we are right now, 5 years, 10 years down the lane, we'll actually be talking about a very famous esports team who's going to be perhaps as famous as Virat Kohli, or for that matter Sunil Shetty. It's going to be that big. And esports is not just a fun activity; it's actually a career. So that's one. I think the other part of the industry where we are right in the middle of, and we are seeing a lot of learnings, and we are also building that community, is basically the entire creator economy around gaming, which is that people who play a certain game well and have a certain ability to entertain a certain audience can actually combine these two skill sets and become a game streamer, right? So game streamer, I mean, primarily needs you to play the game well. I mean, you don't need to play it as well as an esports athlete, but you need to understand every nuance of a game, and you need to play well. And if you have that entertaining abilities where you can hold an audience ranging from 1,000 people to maybe 1 million people at one point in time, that's actually a very, very lucrative career, right? People, I can give you an example. People with maybe 10 million followers on YouTube earn anything up to 20 to 25 lakhs a month, which no other profession can offer at this stage, right? So game streaming is coming up as a great career. The good thing about game streaming as a career is that you don't need to leave everything and start doing it. You can start by spending few hours in a day, maybe after your school, colleges, maybe after your work. Do it for 3-4 hours. Create a YouTube channel, create a channel on Router. I mean, we at Router are really building the Indian game streaming community, so you get a better chance to grow. You're also able to monetize your content and see it over a period of 2-3 months. If you have that ability to hold audience, once you are able to do it, I mean, trust me, this is going to be a very, very big career. People are going to make a lot of money, because gaming is going to be and is already a very big part of the entertainment industry. And people who are influencers around this space, or people who become celebrities around this space, will actually be preferred over many other different fields in the entertainment space.
I am like, I'm like totally awestruck listening to you people. The thing is that we see these movies, these around gaming. You're getting Hollywood movies now, movies like Ready Player One or Speed Racer, which we feel is fiction. It's science fiction, but it's actually not. It's not. I mean, when we talk to experts like you, we realize that is not science fiction. That's actually happening. And you're talking about that becoming part of the Asian Games.
Yeah, so Professor Maumita, I just want to add a very interesting story. About 2 months back, I got a WhatsApp from a parent whose 12-year-old was streaming Minecraft for some time, and he was starting to build his platform on his presence on YouTube, and then they reached out saying that his son prefers to do it on Router because he believes it's an Indian platform, and she said, can you give him a job? I said he's not eligible to get a job, but he can be a part of our creative program. And trust me, that kid joined Router. He's doing so fabulously well, and they are very happy. I mean, this is just one of the stories. There are like hundreds of stories of parents supporting their kids to pick up gaming as a career, because it's like what music used to be 10 years back or 20 years back, right? People used to support kids to become singers, right? Or people used to support kids to become a sportsman. Similarly, people are supporting their kids to become a game streamer or an esports athlete.
I think these insights, they're giving goosebumps to our participants, because they are opening, whole new doors in our educational sector as well as in our employment sector. We hear refrains in Bengal like chakri nahi, and you realize that so much of creative potential can be utilized to provide thousands of people very effective and very rewarding livelihoods.
That's right.
So this is so very fascinating. Proma, do we have more time for discussion? This
Yes, ma'am. Till 11:45.
okay. So please, a little more insights into even one thing that is very popular as a conception is that this is just meant for techies, like people who are very good in computers, people who are engineers. They are the ones who can pursue this. But what you are telling me, I get an insight that people from humanities background, who are creative writers, who are artists, they also can have viable careers in this arena. So please, a little more discussion on that.
So I'll just take this. See, the thing is, like I mentioned, there are few domains, these broad domains that you can pursue career in. There are a lot more which we don't talk about, right? There are a lot more which are generic, which can be a part of game development. So like you said, the writers, right? Right now, what is happening in India is like Piyush mentioned earlier, India has a great set of stories from from historical events or the mythology or the cultural stuff, right? India is one country which has maximum number of stories to tell, and I don't think gaming as a medium has even discovered those things. Right now what is happening is the younger generation of game developers, they are more into these kind of games where they want to tell stories from India. And I think because of that, there are a lot more opportunities for people who are interested in becoming a part of game development, but they have a domain, they have a background of game writing, right? So they can obviously collaborate or get into this as as an option. You cannot say that it could be a full-time thing as of now, because a writer cannot just rely on a gaming gaming domain, but he has to write the other stuff also. He needs to, because of his because it's generic, right? It can adapt to any form of art. But given the fact that the development community in India is very much exploring the stories and from Indian background, I think there's a great opportunity for people who are looking forward to enter into that aspect.
Piyush, some insights on this?
Uh, uh, can you just help me pick up the thread, as in where what exactly was the point we discussed right now?
Could you please repeat? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, can you please help me pick up the thread of where Vaibhav left? Sorry, I just had to reply to something urgently.
Yeah. Vaibhav was basically talking about, because I asked the question about
Got it.
humanities students and everything. So
Understood. Yeah. Sure. My
that's
bad.
what
Sorry.
Vaibhav was talking about.
Yeah, my apologies. No. I think you made a very valid point that gaming is not just restricted to people from tech background or anything like that. It's basically, see, as I said, gaming is not just about developing games which requires you to have a certain technical skills. It's basically a lot of creativity in how you design, how you visualize. Animation is something that people are picking up for different fields as well. And then you come down to being a streamer and then to be a sportsman or a esports athlete, right? So I don't think I think it's not restricted to anything. The good thing about gaming is that whatever skills you have amongst these five, six skills that we discuss, you can actually make a career on top of it, right? The only constant thread between all six different kind of opportunities or six different kind of skill sets is your passion for gaming. You really need to enjoy that world where you get transported and you see different characters interacting with each other. You have that adrenaline rush to see how people win. It's not about just being there. It's about winning, right? Every game at the end of the day, or at the end of their game, actually gives you a winner, right? So as long as you have those traits and you have that passion, uh, it's going to become very very big. And both for Vaibhav and me will be privileged to have more and more people around who help us build this and see this through as it becomes a major part of the entertainment in India.
Maumita, I just want to pick up one question because it's a serious one, which I keep on getting a lot about the mentality of Indian parents, who see gaming as a waste of time. Right? Somebody just asked it on the Q&A in this panel. See, one thing that I just wanted to point out is at this stage, right? When we are running our own companies, uh, do you like people need to understand, do you think our parents let us do that? No. We were at a stage where we identified our dreams, identified our passions, right? At like all the founders right now who are running their own companies are self-learned. There was no education in India about this stuff. It all was self-learned, right? So when people talk about this thing, right, my parents are not supporting, you don't need to have the support, is what I want to say, right? You don't need to have that support. It's just like Piyush also mentioned, right? It's just few hours a day. You can figure out your own time to pursue your passion, right? If you are into some sort of graduation, you're doing something as an academic which your parents want you to do, right? And you're doing it. It is not necessary that you keep doing that. When we talk about game development, a lot of times we say that majority of it is self-learning. There is no institute, like I always mentioned, right? There's no institute. It's all about self-learning. You need to put those extra hours yourself. At the end of the day, parents want you to have a stable career, right? They may be strict at this point of time, but if you can come up with things wherein you can show that you can make money out of this thing, then nobody is going to stop you, right? You don't need to wait to convince your parents and then pursue it alongside. Start making some money out of it. They'll automatically be convinced about it, right? You don't have to wait. And that's what we also did. My background is computer engineering. I never wanted to do engineering. I wanted to always write games, right? But 2001 to 2007, I did a diploma in engineering in computer technology just because I wanted a proper graduation. But alongside, I kept on researching about how to get into this industry. And my last resort at that time, because there was no information out there, my last resort was the day I finish my engineering, I'll go sit outside India Games. Anybody who comes out of India Games, I'll catch him and I'll ask him, I want to enter in this company. How do I do that? right? That was my last resort because there was nothing out there on the internet, right? So we didn't wait for our parents to be convinced about this. We figured out our own ways, right? And eventually they got convinced because that was making money for us.
So really, in the long run, it is all about courage. It is all about courage, and it's all about conviction. You know,
100%.
A safe zone is a great area, but nothing grows there.
Correct.
And you have to come out of your safety zones, of your comfort zones, and say that I'm ready to take this risk because I believe in it.
Absolutely.
So indeed, that is such an inspiring message. Piyush, share a little bit about how you began in this very innovative field.
No, so for I'm a very late entrant to the field. I'm not that young or anything that I've just had to ask my parents to do it. For me, the bigger risk was I was in a very settled corporate career. I was heading marketing for a Swiss watch company for 5 years, and yeah, I had everything that people wanted, which is a good salary and I was traveling the world and everything. But from there, I just realized that for me it was important to build my own legacy. I wasn't just born to serve in a company or to do whatever, right? So I actually took a risk when I was 35 to start Wooter. And when I had a son already. So it's never too early or never too late. It's all about what you want to do. And it's been a very tough 5 years, to be honest. We've gone through multiple difficult moments, multiple near-death moments, building a startup, building a tech company in India. But yeah, we are still there. We are still at the crease, still batting it out. And therefore, the message from my end is that it's never too early or never too late for you to follow what you believe in. I know most of us love gaming. Most of us believe that this can be a very interesting career. And then we think maybe it is not for us. Maybe it is for young people. Maybe it is for old people. Maybe it is for tech people from tech with tech background. But at the end of the day, it is for people like Vaibhav who decide that, okay, they want to pursue it and they were ready to go to any extent to sort of, to get it done. And for me, I mean, it was, I wanted to create a product that people would love, to be honest. That was my only inspiration. And hopefully Router is, building out to be a certain product that people will eventually like. A lot of people will get connected. And let's see, we are just getting started. Gaming in India is just getting started. It's very, very, these are very early days. We'll see how it works out over the next 5 years.
It's really been inspiring listening to you, both of you. I happen to be from a much older generation than you people, but suddenly I am also energized. I think suddenly, all of a sudden, in this span of half an hour, I feel that if I have a dream, I would like to have that kind of a conviction to pursue.
Also play a game, ma'am. I think if you don't play a game, just pick any game. It can be a word game. It can be anything that you like.
I am a gamer, actually.
Yeah, I know. So I'm just saying, just even profess it and ask people to play games, because it's a great way to break monotony of the life we live in. It's, in fact, that is the reason it became so big in the lockdown, because it just allowed us to transport to another world and do whatever we want to do. So I hope people like you push everyone around, and yeah, we make a better future around gaming.
Absolutely. So this session, well, it has to come to an end. There are time constraints, and my request to Indian Innovation Council is that Institutions Innovation Council, that once the pandemic is over, speakers like you should come physically to our campus and really inspire a large bunch of students like this, and present your cases in more detail. So that is something that is a request and a hope that we will see you all again. And with that, we end today's session. It has been wonderful talking to both of you. Wonderful indeed.
Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks to meet you, Professor Maumita, and everybody else who is here, also Vaibhav. And yeah, we should meet soon in a better times.
In a better times.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. So with this, Proma, we are supposed to leave now because
yes, ma'am,
have the other program. So very nice, and we will see another set of wonderful speakers tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.